Welcome to Range Time. I'm your host, Ghost, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to work things in multiplayer a little bit easier for all of you who are joining in with your friends, shooting on different stages, things like that, as well as how I use the Ranger Lite to do some drills in Ace that aren't actually loaded as drills, but it allows me to compare myself to external standards that maybe I want to practice on or maybe just aren't loaded into Ace yet. So that we'll get started. When you first open up your MetaQuest, you're going to see the ability to go down here to quick settings. So I've done that and opened up this window here. It allows us to look around at the volume settings for how loud the games are and people talking to us. But sometimes even with this cranked all the way up, people can't hear you talking. And it's because you've got an issue with your microphone volume now. One of the things you can do is make sure that your microphone is not muted. But the other thing you can do is go into settings and then go into camera right here, and then make sure that your microphone audio is turned all the way up. Just in some preliminary testing, it shows to make somewhat of a difference. I'm not sure if it's why it's in camera necessarily, but yeah, make sure that that's turned up and people will actually be able to hear you better. Another thing that people have been experiencing is that their gun starts tracking off into the distance or looks like it's almost teleporting around when they're doing a reload or moving quickly, things like that. One of the number one problems, one of the number one causes for this actually that results in that problem is that hand and body tracking is turned on. So when you present the gun out, right, it's got a controller in the handset, but it also thinks your hand is a controller. The MetaQuest detects your hand and then thinks, oh, that's the controller, and it tries to jump back and forth and figure out what is the controller and what is your hand, and it just gets confused. So best thing you can do to prevent things like that from happening is just go right here to movement tracking in your settings and turning off the hand and body tracking. That should alleviate most of your problems. There, of course, are other issues where it could be something like bad lighting. If you have daylight bright lights in your room, for example, it has a hard time tracking because that bright wavelength of light is actually picked up by the headset too, and it gets a little confused with how it's tracking things. So experiment around with lighting, dimness, brightness, even color temperature of the lights. If you know if it's kind of a softer yellow, it tends to work a little bit better than those really bright white lights. So play around with those types of things. It should help your tracking and improve how your gun handset kind of is working in Ace. Another issue people have been having is with Ace, you can see that there's the three buttons here that allow you to do like a manual update, check out your settings, do various things with the app, uninstall it, whatever you want to do. Two things here. One, if Ace has a little red dot in the upper left-hand corner of its library, that means that there's an update available. And two, if you go into settings, you can actually see which release version you're on. So right now we're on version 12.1.33, and you can see the channels that you're going through. The reason why you should check this is making sure that you're on the live channel. If you're on beta, canary, anything else other than live, you're probably not getting the most up-to-date version of Ace, and this can cause issues with scoring. It can cause issues with performance. Overall, unless you've been invited or told to use the beta or canary channel by someone from Ace, make sure that you're on the live deployment method channel to alleviate a lot of those issues. So here you are. You just joined multiplayer. Your friends are ready to shoot and things like that, and you're like, oh, let's go into drills and things. This is great. Well, when you select drills, it's only going to teleport the initial person who selected the drill out to the range and in the correct orientation. So if you turn around 180 inside the hut, the range is right there. Like, that's where they're going. So there's two ways to do this, and I don't recommend doing it this way, but one way is now in the real world, you're 180 degrees, you're backwards. You can teleport out by pressing up on the stick and looking where you want to go. Again, as you tilt your head up, it'll cast you out further. And you can go and teleport out there and be right next to your friends. No problem unless you have a wall right behind you or something where you don't have as much reach, for example. So what actually we want to do is go ahead and go back to the hut. And now our orientation is correct, where this is my front in the real world. And again, the back is this way, right? So less space there. What I want to do, though, is go ahead and go into drills and pick the same drill. So let's say they picked, I don't know, THS short course, right? Well, they picked it, so they're out there on the course right now. Well, I'll pick it, and now I'll go out there too and be in the right orientation without having to spin around. So I'll pick it. If I turn around 180, that's actually behind me in the real world. That's the hut, right? And then this is in front of me. So if you find yourself in the incorrect orientation in multiplayer, go ahead and give that a shot. It should straighten you up and get you all in the same orientation. If people are teleporting out and some people are using the stage selector, you're going to find that you're in different orientations. So here we are on the Ranger light stage, and today I'm going to demonstrate how I take some of my external drills and apply them here in Ace. One of the ones by Scott Jadlinski, I believe his name is. He's the Modern Samurai Project. Is his black belt standards. So the first one being the 3x2 drill. So at 3 yards, 3 shots to the alpha zone, and then 2 to the pretty much the head box. It's a 3x5 card that they use. I'm just going to use the A zone in the head box to be my point of reference, and we want to get that in under 2 seconds. That's really fast for me. I'm not that fast, but we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. So right now I can confirm by looking over to my right. They're actually at 5 yards. I don't know that we can do 3. Let's try that out. Yeah, so I can't do 3 yards just with a Ranger, but I tell you what I can do. Cut the distance in half, and that's about 3 yards. So from here, we're about 3 yards from the target. I'm going to do 3 to the chest, the A zone in the middle, and 2 to the head in under 2 seconds from the holster. We'll see how good I do. Again, to start your timer, all you got to do is go ahead and hit the A button. It'll start counting down. We can see it's counting down. It'll give me a beep. I'll draw and I'll do my drill. Once I'm done my drill, I can look back down at my timer and I can cycle through what my splits were, my first time on target, things like that. So again, we're going to do 3 to the alpha zone in the center and 2 to the alpha zone in the head. Try to get it under 2 seconds. Probably not going to happen, but let's give it a shot. Yeah. Notice I didn't transition up to the head box effectively enough after my first 3 shots. Looking down at my shot timer, though, my time's good. Just failure to execute the drill appropriately. So first shot was a 1-2-3. Second shot was a .13 split, .14 split, .12 split, .29 split. When I realized, yeah, I'm not even in the head box. My optic was pointed down, kind of like that, and about the thoracic throat area. So you can do that drill. Well, all right, let's go ahead and do another one from him. The next one in the black belt standards. And you can so with the Quest 3, like if I was recording this, I would double tap my headset and have a pen and paper nearby and write down, hey, I did the 3x2 drill in 191 and I missed the 2 headshots, and I can come back to that drill again and again. The next one in his standards is the 1-shot drill at 7 yards, looking at going to the center alpha at 1 second. So we'll go ahead and reset our targets by pressing and holding the A button. Resets our targets. We'll go ahead and turn around, teleport back to the center, and we'll go ahead and back that middle target up. So that's target 3. Back that up to 7 yards. We can verify that here. Yep, we're at 7 yards. So pretty much just 1 shot center mass in under a second from the holster. Shot timer, go. On the line for sure. Bad grip. And a 148. So something I need to work on, obviously, is getting my gun out of the holster. We could see the grip wasn't good. Presentation wasn't good. And, kind of outside the A zone now. Is that awful? No. But definitely something that I can work on. And the Ranger allows me to do that. So again, I would go over to my little pen and paper. I would write down a 148 outside the A zone, come back to that drill again, get better and better at it. Try it again. Next on the docket from the black belt standards, we have a bill drill at 7 yards. So 6 shots to the A zone. And it looks like the par time for this is going to be 2 seconds. So again, we'll reset by pressing and holding the A button. Our center target, the hit's gone. And now we'll just do simple bill drill. Try and get it under 2 seconds. That last one was bad too. So first shot is 152, total time was a 232. I won't cycle through all of them, but you can see what I'm doing here, right? I would write down my bill drill was a 232, and I had one out of that. So go ahead and holster up, and we'll go to the next drill, which is going to be one shot at 25 yards, center of mass. So we'll go ahead and reset our targets, pressing hold the A button. We'll go ahead and push that target out to 25 yards. Yep, there you go. So again, we're just going to try and get that shot center of mass. We can verify there if we want to. We can teleport down to it. At 25 yards within 1.5 seconds. So go ahead and reset the target just so we don't have any blending. 1.5 seconds. Let's do this. All right. We look over here, kind of a line break. I'll go down and look at it later, but let's say it's in. Our time was a 172. Again, the grip wasn't there. Had a little bit of a hard time with presentation. But you can see I would go write that down, and I know I have to work on these standards to get the black belt standards, essentially. Well, there's a lot of other drills that you can do in here, too. I mean, you could do, all right, we're going to teleport here. We know we're at 5 yards. We're going to do a 5-yard Mozambique drill. Okay. 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. And I would write down, okay, my total time is a 202. Decent, I guess. I don't know. Maybe. But that's what I would do to improve. Another drill I like to do at 7 yards is crisscross. So we'll do 2 to the chest, 1 to the head, 2 to the chest, reload, 1 to the head, 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. All right, so we'll go ahead and give that a shot and see where we're at. So again, 7 yards for this one. Start the timer. Not too shabby overall. Just looking at the hits here, they all looked in. Our time was a 6.78 total time, so fairly decent, right? First shot was a 171, and I can work through the splits, right? The 1.6, the transition was a 0.87 to that head. 6.2 was a transition to the body on the other one. 1.5 was my splits. I had a 1.69 reload time, which is really slow for ace, but that was the time to get back on target with that head box shot. Transition to the body of the middle target, the split of the body of the middle target, and then the final transition up to the head box on the original starting target. So play around with this. If you're looking for ideas on what else you can do in ace for these types of drills, feel free to comment down below. I'll give you a bunch of ideas or different drills that I do in here, because it really is one of the most valuable training tools that we have in the ace platform. It takes a little bit of work and effort on our part, but all training does, and it really is going to cause you to improve more so than watching, the leaderboards where someone's got a hit factor of 30 and you're down at 10. This is where you're going to be able to work on what you need to work on to improve, right? Get that draw time down, get those transitions down, the splits, whatever you need to do, you can isolate that. Final tip for the Range Ranger Lite: if you're working with like just 3 targets, right, and you have these 3 targets in front of you, and the 2 on the outside are maybe distracting to you, go ahead and select them, change them to the popper or whatever you think is the least impactful on your vision, and then send it all the way to the back or send it behind the targets. See where it's kind of not visible now? So we can do the same thing with that target there. We'll just send it back. See, now I've got a clear view of my 3 targets. I don't have the outer 2 targets kind of getting my visuals. So if I was working something that was like the Blake drill, for example, which is 2 on each target working my way across, I can do that without having the visual distraction and actually work on that Blake drill, which was a 297 for that one. Not too shabby. So that's how I use the Range Ranger. Hopefully that helps you all out a little bit with your practice and your isolation, getting better at different things in Ace. And like I said, if you have any questions, comment down below with what you want to see. Maybe another drill in the Range Ranger Ghost. How would you run this drill or that drill, or what about this standard? Chances are I can modify it or figure out a way to make it work for you. That you can go ahead and practice here in the Range Ranger, or maybe on one of the other practice ranges. That's all we have for this episode. We'll see you next time on Range Time.